What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jay. If it's your first time here, make sure you go and subscribe. I've got a bunch of other videos about Amazon and eBay dropshipping. I just did a video about how to organize my orders, how much it costs to get started dropshipping on Amazon, a couple other things like software, and I'll be putting out more videos here in the upcoming month, so make sure you subscribe. Today's video, I'm going to be doing a part 2 of product research. I actually did another video about this, but it's on my other channel. I'll make sure to link it up here if I'm able to. If not, the link will be first one in the description. So let's go ahead and get started. The supplier we're going to be using today is Home Depot, and let me just shrink this down a bit. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is, I have this little sheet here, and I'll go over how I use it and how you can make the same little sheet. This is how I put all my orders into a Google Sheet, or I have my VA do it so that we could list them into the store. So the first column we got here is the source URL. This is basically just going to be the URL from Home Depot. And then we've got our Amazon URL here, which is just the URL of the item we're going to be listing onto Amazon. We've got the ASIN, which is the unique Amazon number, or alphanumeric. And then we've got the source price, so this will be the price that we find at Home Depot. And then we've got the selling price, which is going to be the price that we want to list it for on Amazon. And then right here we've got our multiplier. So this is basically going to tell us what the multiplier is as far as our selling price compared to our source price. So in this case, in this example, we've got the source price at $100, and then we've got the selling price at $125. So that gives us a 1.25 multiplier. So all I did here was you basically just divide the selling price by the source price, and it gives you the multiplier. I'll explain more on why we need this number in a bit. Let me just go ahead and go through the rest of these. So then we've got our gross profit, which is just your selling price minus your source price. So this is the amount of profit that you'll get in right when you get a sale. But you got to remember that Amazon does take a fee, which is 15%. So to get that Amazon fee, you're going to go 0.15 times the selling price, and then that's going to be $18. Now, we don't get to keep that $18.75. That's the money Amazon takes for selling on the platform. What we get to take is the gross profit minus the Amazon fee, which right here is $6.25. So you just subtract gross profit and the Amazon fee, and then you get that $6.25. And then to get our profit margin, here we have a 5% profit margin on this example. And all you do there is take the net profit and you divide it by the selling price. And you want to make sure that you do it by the selling price and not by the source price, because you can see here it goes from 5 to 6.25, and that's incorrect. So you always want to make sure that you're doing the net profit divided by the selling price, and that's going to give us 5%. So this is kind of just an example of how I use the sheet, and then I'll add in the URL and the two URLs and the ASINs here, and then fill out all this information, and it's basically going to tell us how much net profit we're going to get and how much profit margin. So as we go along, I'm going to find items, I'll add them in here, and then you can kind of see how I use this sheet. And if you ever want to like test anything out, you can always just like change the price. So let's say the selling price is actually $140. We can see that the multiplier goes to 1.4, 40% gross profit, $40 gross profit, $21 Amazon fee, net profit of $19, and then you got a 13.57% profit margin. So let's go ahead and we'll go through. Oh yeah, I gotta explain real quick on the multiplier. So let's say we've got 2% cash back from our credit card, and then we got 3% cash back from like a cashback site, right? So altogether we've got 5% of our source price. So let's just do another column here, cash back, So our cashback is 0.05 because we got 5%, right? 2 from the credit card and then 3 from the giving assistant or Ebates or whatever you use, and then you're going to multiply that times the source price, because when you make a purchase, you're only going to get the cashback on the purchase you made, not your selling price. So we would basically get $5 cash back. So we can add this to our net profit, right? Profit. Actually, let's go ahead and we'll just add this in here. So cashback, go here, equals 0.05 times our source price. So we got $5 there, and then our net profit is going to be same thing, the G8 minus the H8, and then we're going to add in that cashback. There we go. So our final, is that right? Yeah, I think so. Let's see, 5, yeah, 1.4. Okay, cool. So yeah, we've got our gross profit minus the Amazon fee, which will give us our upfront profit, which is what you seen a second ago, and then we add in whatever cashback rate we get. So we're getting 5% cashback, so altogether we make a net profit of $24, and that's a 17.14% profit margin. Okay, so now that we got that out the way, let's go ahead and we'll get started in finding some items. So the first thing I like to do, I'm going to be doing a couple different techniques than my other video. So if you haven't watched that one, go ahead and watch that first, and then I would suggest watching this one after. So let's go ahead and jump in, and we're going to first start off by going to find a product that's sold by Home Depot, and it's only sold by Home Depot. So I know just from experience that we've got Milwaukee, and we've got Ryobi, and a couple others, like I think Husky is also another brand that's exclusively sold at Home Depot. Now, we don't want to list these items in our store, but we're just going to use them so that we can get started and find some other people that have that sell Home Depot items. So let's go ahead and type in Ryobi. And it doesn't matter which product you pick here. I typically like to just go with like a cheaper one because there'll probably be more sellers selling on a cheaper listing. So let's go with something simple. Let's try this. Alright, so I'll copy that over. Amazon likes to have the model number in there right after the name, so I'll put that as well. We'll find this, and then we're going to find some sellers. And then I'm also going to create another little sheet down here, and it's going to be sellers slash brands. And then I'll show you guys what we put in there in a minute. So let's go ahead and find that listing. So it's going to be this one. All right, so we got 27 people. Oops, 27 people here we can see on this listing. Okay, now let's go back to our sheet, and we'll go back to this little calculator type thing, and we basically want to see what's going to be our lowest profit that we want to accept, right? So if you just put $1 in here, and let's just keep it at 100 to make it easy. So you can see the multiplier is 1.4, but let's go down to 1.25 and see what that says. So that's going to be a 9% profit margin, including our cashback, right? So in this case, let's say that 9% we're willing to accept. Now, if you want to do something different, like let's say you are willing to take, you're willing to take a 5.8% and you want to sell it for 1.2, that's fine. It's up to you, really. It just depends on what profit margin you really want to set. So for our example, let's just do 1.2. Let's say we're willing to accept a pretty low 5.8% profit margin. So yeah, so basically the reason we need to know this is because when we're going through and we're searching, we need to look at the fulfilled by merchant sellers, right? So we've got this guy here, supply cart, which is selling for $56.10. So in our calculator, you can go 56 36.10 divided by 39.98, and that's going to give us 1.4, right? So if you're listing on this listing and you're trying to compete with just the fulfilled by merchant people, you need to at least set your, if you want to beat them as far as price, you're going to want to set this to like 1.4, right? So and we could also put that here into the little calculator. So 39.98, and then if we sold it for, let's say 56.09 cents, 56.09, that's going to give us a 1.4 cashback, and then we put in, we could just do this all the way down, times source price. Let's just bring that down. All right, so that's going to give us $1.99. So then our profit will end up being 13.72%, right? So because we set this at, so our minimum margin, or let's do our minimum multiplier is going to be 1.2x. We'll just leave this there so that we can remember our minimum multiplier. And this is something that you could put for like your VA, right? So you can put this in here, and then you can have your VA look at this and know, okay, we can only list items where the multiplier is at least 1.2 or higher. So in this case, this is an item that we could list, but like I said, we don't want to actually list this Ryobi item because we're not able to get any type of documentation to show that we're allowed to sell this, because Home Depot exclusively sells it. So this is not really a good item for us to use, but it does help us find some sellers. So let's go ahead and click, let's go a little bit further back. Let's find some sellers that are selling this for a little bit more expensive. I like to look for people that don't have too many feedback. We've got people here with like 38,000. That's way too many. Let's try this person, Greener Trails, and then let's go to their products. And the first thing I like to do when I get onto this page is I like to go through a couple pages and just kind of see what type of products it is that they list, right? So you can see here they have some like home products, they've got baby products, they've got tools, some more tools, shelving, kitchen stuff. This looks like butter, kitchen tools. So it looks like they could be selling Home Depot items. Let's keep scrolling through. Let's go through a couple of pages just to get a good idea of kind of what they're selling. All right, they got replacement filters. All right, so it looks pretty good. It looks like they've got some good listings. Let's go ahead and click through to some of these and see if we can find them on Home Depot. Another quick tip for you guys is to use this free Chrome extension right here. It's called DS Amazon Quick View. You can just search that up, and what that does is it's going to give you the bestsellers rank right here and the ASIN, and it's also going to tell you if there's FBA sellers and if Amazon is on the listing. So I mean, it's best if you can find a listing that has no FBA and no Amazon sellers, and you can compete on the price. That way it's easy for you to sell. But I mean, you can still find good listings where Amazon is selling or there's an FBA seller, so don't let that discourage you. But it's just good to have this plugin because you'll know the BSR. I typically like to stay between 5,000 and 200,000. So it just depends on the category and stuff. But let's go ahead and try to find this item now on Home Depot. All right, so it's like the blue roof. Okay, it doesn't look like they have it. No, it doesn't look like they have it, so let's move on to another one. iRobot. Let's try this. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of going through and I'm finding items that I think will be available at Home Depot. You can also, you know, if your VA is doing research, or if it's you, you can kind of just set like a price range that you want them to look through. I'm just kind of picking any price range here. It doesn't really matter right now for the example. Let's see what else we got. I know this brand is available, so let's check out this item. So it's kind of slow when you first start off. You'll start to gain momentum once I show you a couple other things here in a bit. But let's see. Another way you could do this is right-click the image on this page, and then search Google for image. Alright, we found it though. We got it right here. Alright, so as you can see, this is actually the listing from this Greener Trails seller, right? So you got this guy, and he's got his one listing here, and we want to see the full listing, and we want to see all the sellers on here. So what we can do is, if you look up here in the address bar, you can see the ASIN right here. So if you cut everything off right after the dash on the ASIN or the backslash or whatever, you can delete that, click on that, and that's going to give you the full listing. And now when you click on new, now we can see all the sellers that are selling this item. So let's go back here, let's find the price. So we got $9.48, and if we look here, we've got the lowest fulfilled by merchant is probably this guy right here. So 11.42 divided by 9.48. Alright, so this is 1.2, right? I mean, the margin here is going to be pretty low, especially on a cheap little item like this. So I probably wouldn't list this, but that's basically how you're going to find them, right? Now we know that this brand is available at Home Depot. Now we can go back here into the seller store, and we can look at all the other items that are Perky Pet, right? So let's go back here, and if we go over here on the left hand side, it says show results for the brand, and then you can go to see more, open that up, and then under P, find Perky Pet, find Pet. Looks like they've got 8 items here. And the reason that we're doing this is because if we can go ahead and find an item or a brand that sells at Home Depot, it's easy for us to just go back through that person's store and then check all those Perky Pet items, right? So this is going to save us a lot of time if we know that brand is already available at Home Depot. And now you can see we've got 8 items. They're going to put them in, they're not going to be exact order, but as you can see here, this one's got 1,000 BSR, and then if you go all the way down to the bottom, you've got this 161 BSR. I mean, these are still all pretty good, and I would probably check out all of these. Let's go ahead and do one of them right now. Alright, so we've got this Perky Pet Sun and Star Lantern. And remember, we're not looking at just this sellers. You always have to remember to remove this part of the listing, of the address, the URL, and then search it. And then now we can go to 20 new and find out here we've got it listed at the cheapest, $24.85, and this one's $22. So not much profit on here, but you kind of get the idea on how you would search these. Let's go ahead and keep moving on though. Okay, so let's go back to his main store. We've got it here. Alright, so we've got this guy's store, right? Now, what I like to do is let's go ahead and note down that we've got that brand, right? So let's do seller stores, and then we'll do brands. And under brands, we've got, this doesn't matter, it doesn't need to be next to it, but let's go ahead and do Perky Pet. So we know that's a brand now that sells at Home Depot, right? Now we want to take the link to the seller store, and then you can just put like their name or whatever, greener trails, and next to it I just put down the link so it's easy for you to access their store, right? Alright, so now that we got that listed, we've got, okay, now we've got the greener trails, we've got a link to their store, and then we have a brand. Now it doesn't need to be like right next to each other. I just kind of put these there because it was easy. So we can go ahead and create like a list of brands that are available at our source. So let's say our source is Home Depot. Perky Pet would be one, and then from now on we can click on one of those Perky Pet items, or we could even search it, and then we can find other sellers on that listing. So let's go back in here, and let's say that this item was profitable for us. Now we know that other people that are selling that item are probably selling profitable other items, so we can kind of just open up each of these like that. We can go to their products. We can go to the brands again, go to that Perky Pet brand, and we can see this guy's got 12 of them. It's got 5 of them. So you can see how this is pretty powerful, how you can just find one brand, and then from there you can find a bunch of sellers that are on that listing, and then you can keep going. So this guy's got 23 listed, so quite a bit. Let's scroll down. It looks like a lot of cheaper items, but you never know, you might be able to get some pretty good profit on these cheaper items. This guy's got 27. This guy's got 65. Alright, so you can see how this is powerful. We basically just found a list of like 100 items that we can just straight up go through. Now, if you wanted to save some time, let's say you have your VA working on things and you wanted them to just straight up check if the item is profitable or not, what I would do is I would just go through and find this page, right? And then you can just copy this link over and then put it here in your in your listing sheet. That way your VA can just go through, check them, make sure that whatever ones are profitable we add to the store, and then you're good to go. Same thing is I would just keep all of these up, right? Because you've got all these people's store now and you know that they have items that are sold at Home Depot. What you can do now is if you go back here to this first seller, or any of the sellers for that matter, it doesn't really matter, you can just go through and then find another item that's available at Home Depot. I know this brand is, so I'm going to cheat and use that. So we've got Rev a Shelf, right? Now we can go back through all these other seller stores. Go to R. Rev. Alright, so this guy's got 3. Let's go back here. Alright, this guy's got 103 items. So I know, like I said before, I know this brand is available at Home Depot. So you could just go through each one of these people's store and find a bunch of items. And it's super easy this way. I know some items are going to be overlapped. You can see Home Depot's got 360 of them. but you know what I mean? Like, you can go through each one of these people's store and find tons of items this way, and it's super easy. All you got to do is find that original one item from Home Depot, which can be like Milwaukee or Ryobi or Husky, and then from there find sellers that are selling that and go through their stores and then find items that are from the brands that are listed on Home Depot. So super easy and straightforward. I would just copy all their stores over into a Google Sheet like this, so you have like a master list of stores, and then from that point you can just open them all up how I have here, go through, click on the brand that whatever brand it is that you find is available at your source, and then click through each of these items and make sure that they're profitable and that you can sell them. So let's go through, let me see, I want to find a couple more examples of some things I wanted to show you guys. So I'm going to close out a lot of these tabs. We've got this item here. Let's take a look at the full listing. Let's go to 5 new. Alright, so here's a good example. We've got a listing with, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on the listing. Let's find this item at Home Depot. And the good thing about this listing is that you've got no FBA and you've got no Amazon on the listing, so you have a better chance of actually selling it. All right, so $18.56, and then let's see, standard delivery. Let's double check. Okay, so it's gonna be $5.99 for shipping on that. So 7.48 plus 5.99. So it's gonna end up costing you $13 to get the product, $13.47. So this is gonna be a 1.37 markup, right? So pretty easy to find products. I mean, that's almost a 1.4 markup, which is going to end up being close to like 14-15% profit at the end of the day. So yeah, that's pretty much my process. That's like another technique that I use. I know I showed you guys in the last video more of like a spidering technique, but this one is going to be a little bit more effective and probably easier for you to find a lot of products in a smaller amount of time. And then you can kind of just decide if it's worth you being on the listing here, because yeah, we can list it for cheaper than the cheapest seller, but we also want to take into consideration their feedback scores. I mean, even if you have a pretty low feedback score, I would still hop on this listing, because you've got, this guy's got 500, 400, 600, 5,000, 2,000. So it's not too bad. I mean, there's a lot of listings on here where people have like 30, 50, 100,000 feedback. But yeah, that's pretty much how I find my items. I've got this other, what's it called? Chrome extension here. It's called Keepa, Keepa. And this is a bad example, but let's click on another item and I'll show you what it does. These aren't necessary. These are just things that I found that kind of help out. Let's see if this will pop up, or if I need to go to the full listing. So let's check out the full listing. Nope, that's not giving it. Let's try another listing. I just want to show you guys this this Chrome extension real quick before I finish up. Okay, here we go. Oh, what a bad example. No, it's actually just kind of weird. Okay, so let's do a different one actually. I mean, that one is not very good. Okay, perfect. Here we go. So if you just click on sales rank here, you can see the history of the sales rank. So this is basically going to be for the past, like, what, 2-3 months or whatever. You can see today the sales rank is around 12,000. At its dips, it's gone to 50,000 and all the way up to like 70,000, and its lowest points looks like it's gotten to around what it is now, like 7,000. So the reason I like to have this is because sometimes you'll look at a listing and you'll see, oh, the rank is really good, it's at, like, let's say 5,000, but you might just be at a really weird dip, like one of these really weird jumps here. So just be careful when you're listing. I like to take a look at it and see that a graph is like this. It's pretty consistent. I mean, it's still within my BSR range. So if your range was between, like I said, 5,000 and maybe 100,000, you look at this product and you know that in the past 3 months it's stayed within that range. So this is a product that you'd want to list. But let's say you find a product and it's, you know, it's within the range, but most of the time it sits above 100,000. I'm not 100% sure if I'd really want to list that, because I don't know if it's going to stay in that BSR range or not. But the sales rank looks like it's consistent enough for me to list it. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was at 70,000 or if it's at 5,000. Of course, you want it lower because it's going to make more sales. But it's within my criteria, right? So it's just another cool thing for you to look at. And again, this is called Keepa, Keepa. The other extension I had was Amazon Quick View, which will show you the BSR before you click onto the product page. And yeah, just keep in mind, guys, that when you're researching products, just look for items where you can compete, and then look at the sellers that are selling that same product for more expensive, and then you can go through their store and find profitable products from brands that are available at your source. So if you guys have any questions, just make sure you comment below. If you want me to do a part 3, or if you have any specific requests when it comes to product research, just go ahead and let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.